Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video we're taking a look at some very fun battles from the Ultra League where a trainer is battling at Legend Elo with some wild spice picks and absolutely dismantling meta teams as he goes. Now these battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, Philbeg, so many thanks for the battle submission. Now Philbeg is running a team consisting of Bellibolt, Ice Punch Annihilate, and Togekiss. Now, important disclaimer, I don't recommend this team if you're looking to gain elo. This is more so just a showcase of what an incredibly talented battler can do with some very anti-meta picks. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches, and we're off to a very neutral start in game number 1, Bellibolt versus Malamar. Bellibolt has massive bulk in the Ultra League, and on top of that, Parabolic Charge has a 2/3 chance to boost up Bellibolt's defense. This is going to make a bulky Pokemon even bulkier. Foul Play going to do absolutely nothing to Bellibolt. Bellibolt's going to be hit with Charge Attack number 2 from the Malamar. After that defense boost, that's not going to be a problem whatsoever. Opponent is going to send in a Licky save switch, and that's swiftly going to be answered with Annihilate. There is so much energy banked on the Bellibolt as well. It is not going to be Shadow Ball thrown by the Licky. Instead, they are running Earthquake as their nuke move of choice. Ice Punch comes out from the Annihilate. This is one situation where it definitely would be nice to have access to close combat, but unfortunately this Annihilate has opted against it. Annihilate is going to commit the shield and get a big farm down, exiting with quite a lot of energy, and it's going to be Clefable in the back. Clefable immediately hit with the Rage Fist. Rage Fist, of course, with the guaranteed attack boost, meaning the second Rage Fist will do more. The opponent no-shields this as well, and they're just going to get charmed down by Togekiss. There's just no way for the opponent to win it now. Meteor Mash is going to KO. In comes Togekiss. Opponent sends in Malamar. They realize they're getting KO'd with 2 shields remaining, and they will concede the match. Terrible lead in the next match. Bellibolt into Gastrodon, the safe switch to Annihilate, and the opponent is choosing to stay in this matchup. Annihilate has farmed up a decent amount of energy going for the Rage Fist, and we will see the no shield from Gastrodon. Earth Power would inflict some serious damage. Philbeg shields at the last second and gets the shield call right. In comes Mandibuzz, and this is where having Ice Punch is honestly quite nice. This is a boosted super effective Ice Punch, and that is going to deal some serious damage to the bulky Mandibuzz. Mandibuzz is going to be firing off Aerial Ace. That's not going to be enough to KO Annihilate. Annihilate gets to another Ice Punch, and now is the opponent really willing to commit a shield in this matchup, knowing that their Mandibuzz is going to be hit with a Bellibolt? It looks like the answer is yes. Annihilate only able to make it to a Rage Fist, but it still grabs the shield, and Annihilate putting on a clinic in the mid game, able to grab 2 shields from the opponent. And now Bellibolt is just going to look to get so much farm, as Mandibuzz will fire off Dark Pulse after Dark Pulse. Bellibolt would love this farm down. It's going to be close, can't quite get there. Mandibuzz so bulky, able to hang on, making one final Dark Pulse, and Bellibolt will finally get the farm down. Gastrodon now going to be met with Togekiss in the back. It's Licky, that's not what you're hoping to see, but this Togekiss is running Aura Sphere, and Aura Sphere will inflict, I imagine, some pretty significant damage here. The Togekiss is going to win the CMP tie over the Licky, going for the Aura Sphere. That's going to KO Licky, and there's just no hope for the opponent. They send back in the Gastrodon, and they will concede the match. Picking up a great lead in the next match, Bellibolt versus Shadow Feraligator. Opponent is going to save switch into Galarian Weezing, and Weezing will immediately be met with the Parabolic Charge. 2/3 chance of a defense boost. Will we see it? And the answer is no. So a bit of bad luck for Philbeg early in this game. Unfortunately, Weezing is so problematic for this backline that you are honestly forced to stay in here, and that means that Annihilate could be a nuisance later in the game. We see another Parabolic Charge, and this one does get the defense boost. That Overheat will not KO. Can we see a farm down? No, it's not worth the risk. Instead, just going to look to win switch advantage and fire off Parabolic Charge number 3. In comes Feraligator. Feraligator now swiftly answered with the Annihilate. Feraligator up energy is an incredibly scary Pokemon to deal with, and in the Ultra League, you can't quite farm it down like you can in the Great League. So Annihilate will go for the Rage Fist right away, not wanting to throw any additional counters before applying a boost. Nice overfarm again by the opponent. Annihilate honestly paying a heavy price for being in this matchup. And now in the back, there's a Togekiss with no shields remaining. Charm users often like to have at least one shield available to them, so that way they can maximize the amount of fast move damage applied. It all comes down to what's in the back, and it's not gonna need a shield for that. It's Guzzlord in the back, and the opponent concedes instantly. Another very neutral lead in the next match, Bellybolt versus a Purified Skuntank. Bellybolt over farming. So wanting to try and threaten a Zap Cannon at bare minimum, Trailblaze is going to connect, farms up to the Zap Cannon, and baiting with the Parabolic Charge. Will the opponent fall for the bait? The answer is no. They're going to no-shield, but Bellybolt able to boost up its defense, as the opponent did boost up their attack with Trailblaze. Another Parabolic Charge, this time no boost coming through. The opponent can pick up a knockout here as they fire off another Trailblaze, and Bellybolt's just going to let itself go, and in comes Annihilate. Annihilate, this is a double boosted Skuntank. This will do quite a lot. No shields, Crunch absolutely rocks the Annihilate, and that Skuntank basically KO'd 2 Pokemon by itself. In comes Gastrodon. At the very least, that's very helpless going up against Togekiss. This boosted Rage Fist will inflict some serious damage on the Gastrodon. Gastrodon is going to let that go. In the back is Galarian Moltres, and the typing of Togekiss so deadly as it's able to force another opponent to concede the match. Seeing about the best possible lead in the next match, Bellybolt versus Greninja. The entire team hits Greninja for super effective damage, so seeing this Pokemon here is honestly great. Greninja will almost always have poison types behind it, just due to the fact that if you're running Greninja, you have to cover against Pokemon like Fairy types and Virizion. There's the defense boost from Bellybolt on the Parabolic Charge. That means this Hydro Cannon will not knock out. They're going to go for the Hydro Cannon. Bellybolt does not care. In comes Clefable, and Clefable is now going to get absolutely smacked with a Zap Cannon. Will they respect it? No, they will not. Massive, massive damage. The opponent barely hanging on as they're able to make the Moonblast, and Togekiss will commit the shield. Unfortunately, Clefable not going down without a fight, able to make one final charge attack. It is just going to be the Swift. In the back is Drifblim. This is not normally the backline you expect to see when there's a Greninja lead. But even so, Togekiss should be pretty well positioned, able to grab the final shield. But of course, future moves are going to do less, courtesy of the Icy Wind debuff that Drifblim will apply. The Pokemon are going to reach their moves at the same time, so Filbag is going to switch out, resetting the debuff on Togekiss, catching the Icy Wind onto Annihilate. Annihilate farming up. Opponent is going to bank energy, send in Greninja. Greninja fires off energy here. Annihilate's energy wasn't going to do much, so losing it, not too terrible. Back in comes Togekiss. Togekiss is able to get that farm down and exits with the Aerial Ace loaded. Aerial Ace into Drifblim. Will it be enough? No, it will not. And unfortunately, that game will end in a loss. Moving to the next game, great lead, Bellybolt versus the Shadow Feraligator. Feraligator is going to strike first with a Hydro Cannon, and Bellybolt is bulky, more than happy to absorb this damage. Quick switch out by the opponent, they're going to catch the Parabolic Charge onto Shadow Drapion. Oh, it's actually a regular Drapion. That's a pretty massive surprise there. The regular, not the Shadow Drapion in play, which means, of course, they're going to be able to take these counters a lot better, but as a result, they're really not going to be able to do a lot of damage. Rage Fist into the Drapion is going to be no-shielded. Honestly, you don't have to shield this next move because, again, they're non-shadow. It's just not going to do the damage they want it to do. Quick switch, an attempt at a snipe by the opponent as they send in Feraligator. Feraligator instantly met with the Rage Fist, and Filbag is able to pivot back out into Bellybolt. Bellybolt more than happy to commit the shield as it's almost at enough energy for a Parabolic Charge. Now at the Parabolic Charge, fired quickly at the Feraligator. Decision time for the opponent. They will commit the final shield. They're not going to be able to get a farm down. They're forced to throw energy. And now do you just save the shield for Togekiss? No. Committing the shield on Bellybolt, but the opponent is going to catch onto Guzzlord. But Guzzlord's not going to like what's in back. In comes Togekiss. Togekiss charming all the way down. Guzzlord with a fraction of health remaining, making it to a last second charge move. It's the Sludge Bomb. And that's huge damage. Back in comes Feraligator, but it's unable to make a move. Aerial Ace will pick up the knockout. All that's left is the Drapion. Drapion can't get to a move either. And against all odds, Togekiss is able to sweep that endgame. Bellybolt versus Skuntank, a familiar lead, but this time the opponent is running the Shadow Skuntank instead of the Purified one. At this time, Filbeg not looking to build up to a potential Zap Cannon, instead just going straight for the Parabolic Charge. Unfortunately, no luck at getting the defense boost here. Opponent will go for a Crunch, not opting for the boosting Trailblaze, instead opting for the higher damage value of Crunch. If they want, the opponent can go for a 1 shield farm down, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Belly Bolt does get a defense boost, and that actually scares the opponent into throwing. The opponent could have still farmed down, but unfamiliarity with Belly Bolt counts means that they actually get worried and they end up throwing their energy. Skuntank is going to go for a Crunch. Annihilate, unfortunately, does get debuff, but does get the farm down. In comes Gastrodon, met with Togekiss, and they're not switching out. Oh my goodness, they must be in trouble if they're staying in with Gastrodon versus a Flyer. And they're still not swapping. They're going for a Body Slam. Togekiss smelling blood in the water here. Something has to be wrong for them, and there it is. In comes Mandibuzz. He's going for the harder hitting Aura Sphere. Aura Sphere is able to land. No Ancient Power does mean that, of course, he's only able to hit for neutral in terms of charge moves. Mandibuzz firing off its energy, gonna go for the Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace is going to connect. And now Togekiss's turn to return the favor, going for an Aerial Ace of its own. The Aerial Ace is shielded by the Mandibuzz. Aerial Ace will not knock out here. It will do quite a bit, so we will see a no shield, and there's a switch to Annihilate, and Annihilate should be able to just boost through the remainder of this team. Rage Fist connects, Gastrodon is getting countered down, and the opponent will immediately concede the match. Nightmare lead in the next match, Belly Bolt versus Shadow Golurk, and this should basically just be over from the moment the game starts. Golurk just completely destroys both Belly Bolt and Annihilate. Annihilate, the counters are double resisted. Golurk, due to being ahead by 1 turn, is able to outpace as well. So this is just a thoroughly miserable spot to be in if you are Filbeg. Filbeg just gonna let this go. Shadow Punch is gonna KO. You have to hope that the opponent stays in with the Golurk versus the Togekiss, but they should just always pivot out, and they do. They're gonna pivot into Shadow Drapion. Back in comes the Belly Bolt, but it's very highly likely that there's going to be some kind of anti-flyer in the back. My guess would be a Miltank to absolutely crush Togekiss's hopes and dreams. Parabolic Charge is going to land, getting the defense boost, but honestly, I don't know if it's going to be enough in this game, as unfortunately the defense gets put right back to 0 by a well-timed Crunch debuff. Parabolic Charge is going to pick up the KO. Golurk answered with Togekiss. In the back is Licky Licky. And unfortunately, there's just not really a path forward unless the opponent, for whatever reason, no shields and Aura Sphere. Togekiss just going straight for the Hail Mary win con here. Aura Sphere does get shielded. And that's just going to be game over. There's just not a way to win at this point. Filbeg did what he could in this one, and he is going to concede the match. Belly Bolt versus Clefable, another very neutral lead. If Belly Bolt throws instantly, it can outpace the Clefable here and make the Parabolic Charge before Moonblast is reached, and that's exactly what Filbeg was aiming for. Firing off the Parabolic Charge. Parabolic Charge does boost up the defense, and now let's see this Moonblast damage. Moonblast from Clefable doesn't even do half. There's a safe switch into Miltank, and that will swiftly be answered with Annihilate. I think Miltank is absolutely incredible in the Open Ultra League. Honestly, I use it more as a closer personally. I'm not a big fan of using it as a save swap, specifically post Annihilate Community Day, because Annihilate is just so strong, where Annihilate, of course, heavily resists the rollouts, 2 Thunderbolts or Ice Beams do not KO, and Annihilate will actually get a full farm down. So Annihilate exits with quite a lot of energy. In comes Clefable to try and absorb that energy from the Annihilate. Rage Fist is going to connect. Annihilate not going to get to another move. Back in comes Belly Bolt. The opponent, okay, what? There's a Rhyperior? There's an Ultra League Shadow Rhyperior. Oh my goodness. The opponent absolutely popping off with the spice as well. Rhyperior goes for the Breaking Swipe. This is only enough energy for another Breaking Swipe, so this is a safe no shield. It's only going to be double resisted damage. Back in comes Clefable, and the opponent is going to resign the match. Hopping to the final match, leading Belly Bolt into Talonflame, a terrific lead. Opponent safe switches into Licky Licky, and my goodness, these normal type safe switches are getting absolutely feasted on by Annihilate. Massive, massive farm by the opponent. They are using Shadow Ball, and that inflicts serious damage onto Annihilate. Annihilate is going to go for the Ice Punch. Ice Punch is going to be shielded by Licky Licky. Licky Licky trying to cover for a potential close combat, but this Annihilate not running it. There's another Shadow Ball thrown, and now Philbeg gets to respond with yet another Ice Punch. Ice Punch into Licky Licky is going to land, and there's the counter down as well. Opponent going to send in Talonflame. Talonflame going to get a little bit of an energy head start, but if they're running the double flying moveset, then they're completely walled by a Belly Bolt. In comes Belly Bolt. Opponent is going to switch. It's a Zygarde in the back, and I've never seen a Zygarde top left so fast as Togekiss hits the field of play. All in all, these were some very fun battles, so many thanks to Philbeg for sending them in. As I did mention at the start, this is not a team that I recommend if you care about your elo, as these are some very spicy picks. I do think Belly Bolt has some very legitimate anti-meta play. Togekiss, its typing is unbelievable in the current meta. However, the biggest issue that it runs into is its moveset, honestly, I find to be not the greatest. Charm, and then your choice of Ancient Power, Aerial Ace, and Aura Sphere. That moveset does leave a lot to be desired, considering that at high elo Ultra League, the best core, or probably the most common core, is Zygarde plus Gastrodon. Being a Fairy Flying type definitely puts you at a very nice advantage, as you're able to effortlessly shut down Zygarde and Gastrodon, which, as a pair, give a ton of Ultra League teams a tremendous amount of trouble. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our channel members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is genuinely so appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.